Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome to the Price and Presley Spook Show. I'm Terry Price.
And I am Harold Presley. And as Terry said, welcome to this. This is our inaugural broadcast, the very first one we're doing right here. And we said evening, whatever time of day you're listening to it at. You can listen anytime you want to.
Well, I guess
available to you.
Well, you know, people like to listen to scary stuff in the evening.
Well, some people do. not this people. Now, in case you're not familiar with it, and why would you be? Because this is our first show. Let me remind you what this is all about. The Spook Show, it's a regular guy look at the spooky, the paranormal stuff that you just can't explain or go to sleep afterwards. And I know from personal experience that's hard. Now, neither one of us are experts on this topic, although Terry is much more an expert than I am. We'll get to that in a second. Especially considering there's no such thing as experts in this field in particular. Now, if you have something going on that, seems paranormal, weird, something like that, you'd like to share with us, we want to hear from you. Yes, we do. We want to hear from you. And don't worry about your privacy. It's of the utmost importance to us. We'll make sure if you don't want your name out, and you don't want that, if you don't care, that's fine too. We'd love to share your name. We don't got to give your address or anything like that, but if you don't want us to use your name, we won't do that. It'll never be aired unless you give us permission to do that. Now, just send us your story at pricepresleyshow@gmail.com. And don't forget to tap that follow or like button on Facebook and also our YouTube channel.
That's right. Every little story helps, and every follow and like helps.
Yes, we want all the likes we can get.
That's
right. We like you. Like us.
That's right. That's absolutely right.
We're likable. Now, as I said, it's our very first broadcast. And with that in mind, we're not going to have any guests today, although we do have a guest, an in-studio guest. Terry's going to be the official guest for this one because Terry used to do, this is what he used to do. Used to be an investigator, right?
I did. I investigated with the Dallas Area Paranormal Society, also known as DAPS.
DAPS. Now, how long of a period of time did you do this?
About 3 years.
About 3 years.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, my very first question to you, and I know everybody's kind of thinking, how in the world do you get involved in something like this? How do you become an investigator in that?
That's actually kind of a funny story. All my life I've been interested in the paranormal with an emphasis on Bigfoot. You
love Bigfoot. I know.
I'm a Bigfoot fan. Since I was a kid, since I saw, of course, most Bigfoot investigators will tell you that they got into it when they saw the legend of Muddy Boggy Creek.
Yeah, I saw that too. Yeah,
and it scared me so bad that it left a mark, I guess.
Yeah.
But anyway, I'd always been into the paranormal and everything. I've had I wouldn't say a lot of paranormal experiences, but I've been there. And it was the funniest thing when Texas Stadium, Cowboys.
Oh yeah, the old Texas Stadium. Yeah.
When they were about to demolish that, they had a big sale. Right?
Oh yeah.
And they were auctioning off, just paraphernalia from the stadium. In fact,
piece of history. Yeah.
Did you see those two stadium seats?
I did.
Right
Is that? Oh, those from Texas Stadium?
Those are from Texas Stadium.
Oh my goodness.
So the wife and I are huge Dallas Cowboys
fans.
fans.
Maybe I sat in one of those. Maybe it's the one I sat in.
There you go.
Because I've been to a few games. I went to a few games there.
It's possible.
Yeah.
But anyway, we decided we wanted to go and see what kind of souvenirs we could get.
Oh yeah,
being big Dallas Cowboy fans, and we were waiting in line to get in, and there was two gentlemen that were standing just behind us in line, and one of them had on a T-shirt that said Dallas Area Paranormal Society.
Oh, okay.
DAPS, and I got being me, socially, a social butterfly there. I started talking to him and come to find out he was at the time he was the president and co-founder of the Dallas Area Paranormal Society. Just got to talking to him, got to know him and everything. And he said, "Hey, we have meetups, once a month. Why don't you come to one?"
Yeah.
And I thought, well, that's cool. I think I'll do that.
Yeah.
So I came to one and got to know all the folks that are, investigating. In fact, two of my very best friends we'll be talking to really soon.
Yeah. On the show.
The show, Tanya and Alan King. They were also members, and I tell you, we had a great relationship for years. They became kind of part of the family. But anyway, I digress. So I went to a couple of the meetups, and then finally he called me. His name was Nick, by the way, great guy.
Yeah.
He called me and he said, "Hey man, we're going to do an investigation. You want to go?" we got to train you and all that sort of stuff. And I'm like, shoot, yeah.
And this is going to be your first one,
ever. I said,
first investigation.
I said,
you were into
it,
okay.
man. I'm ready to go. So anyway, it started from there, and I started out just like anybody else would. I was the grunt. I toted the cables, and helped them set up
heavy
and
work,
everything, and then just kind of sat quietly in the corner while they did their thing.
Now let me ask you this: you said toted their equipment. What kind of stuff do you take with you on something like that?
Well, and we'll get into this more whenever we talk to Alan, because he's the tech manager of the Dallas Area Paranormal Society. But we used infrared cameras, and those required cables to hook up to the DVR system and the monitor system, and setting up just stations where you would put your voice recorders. Little experiments that because we tried to do the investigations as scientific as possible. Obviously, you can't follow the scientific rules for investigation or anything like that completely, because it's not a controlled laboratory setting, right?
Yeah.
But we did the best that we could. We tried to keep logs of who was in what room at what time, and so on and so forth. And it was all very, or at least most of the time, it was all very kind of by the book. We tried. We tried to anyway. Sometimes things got out of hand, when I don't know if you've experienced any paranormal stuff really, Harold, or anything like that, but when stuff goes down, rules go out the door. I'm telling you, not only the natural laws of nature go out the door, but just your rules of it. It's very hard to maintain that calm. To do all the steps that you normally would take.
Well, the only thing I will say, I don't know that I've had the whole where you see stuff move or stuff like that. I think I've had things happen to me that normal people, just regular people happen. You hear something. You hear something, you go, it's not normal. You're at home, and you're the only one there.
Right.
And you hear something in another room, and you just say, oh, did a picture fall off the wall? Did something happen? Something weird? Something happened. So you walk in there, and especially if you have cats or something like that.
Oh my
cat
gosh,
may knock something over. You have something falling all the time. Well, but if you're in a room and there's no cats, there's nothing in there can knock it over, and you walk in there and you go like, I could have sworn that was over there. Well, maybe it wasn't. Maybe it was teetering on the edge and it fell. And I've had this happen to me. Okay. This is the only I can remember. It's weird. It's not really paranormal, but it's weird.
Okay.
You take a shower.
Right.
And you put your towel on the rack to dry, right?
Right.
And sometimes you fold it over, but sometimes to make room for another one. Well, you put it on there after you shower and it's open, and then you come in later and it's folded, and you said, when did I fold this?
Right.
And I go and I try not to think too much about it because I don't want to get freaked out. Because I swear I said, I didn't fold this. I know I didn't fold this over. I know I didn't do that.
That's really weird.
So something like that. That's the only thing I really had happen. That's happened to me more than once.
That is really weird, Harold.
Well, now I won't be able to sleep tonight. Thanks. That's great. That's great. Thank you, man. That's awesome.
Have you ever had a situation where you laid your car keys or something else in a specific
place,
and then you go to look for them and they're not there?
They're not there.
Now, I'm not saying that's absolutely paranormal, but when it happens a lot,
yeah.
My thing is that you look and look and look and you can't find them anywhere, and you get frustrated and you go sit down, have a beer or whatever. And then, an hour later, you get up and you walk by the spot where you originally thought you laid them, and they're there.
And there they are.
Now that's
kind of spooky.
That's really weird.
That's a little more than mine.
Yeah.
But anyway, I wanted to throw that in. That's probably been the most that's ever happened to me.
I think things like that happen to people all the time. I hear people talking all the time about, I was thinking of so and so, and all of a sudden the phone rings.
Oh yeah. That's happened.
Or I was thinking, that somebody's going to be at the door in a minute, and all of a sudden somebody knocks. That happened, and I think that, honestly, because we only use a small percentage of our brain, I think that there is the capacity for that sort of
kind of communication with someone.
Yeah,
you know what? I'm kind of with you on that, because I do believe that. I believe if you think something and all of a sudden that person says, I was just thinking about you. Right. That's weird, because I was just thinking about you. Right. There's something to that. There's something to that.
That's right. That's right. But with that being said, when you're talking about psychic ability and everything, I'm not a big, and some of my parapsychology or paranormal friends, when I say that, I mean the people who investigate. Not ghosts, but
real people.
Some of them will get mad at me when I say this, and I don't mean in slight to anybody out there. I'm not saying that it's not possible, but I don't believe in mediums and such so much, especially when it comes to investigating the paranormal, because you can't prove the paranormal with paranormal.
Yeah, that's true.
And that was kind of a saying we used to say a lot. You might hear Tanya and Alan say that from time to time. Not that we don't believe that it's possible. I think that there's a lot of show people out there, and there are specific techniques that you can use to fool people, make them think that you're a medium, or what they call it, a mentalist. Actually,
mentalist.
So my whole philosophy is anybody who walks around saying, "Hey, I'm a psychic," probably isn't. Because the people who do tend to have some ability or exhibit, they keep it quiet.
They keep it quiet. They don't talk about it.
Yeah, because it's. I mean, think about it. If you could see the future, if you could see into the future, do you think all you're ever going to see is good stuff?
No, you're going to see a lot of. Yeah, you're going to see some bad stuff.
Or if you could see ghosts and dead people, do you remember the movie Sixth Sense?
Oh yeah. Man, yeah.
I think that's going to be pretty.
Getting a little creepy right now. I'm getting a little. Woo.
But
that was creepy. That was it just seemed so real.
So I mean, if you just think about it, the psychological drain or the psychological pressure of having that ability would be tough on anybody. And for them to be, hey, look, I'm a psychic.
Yeah,
it just doesn't fit the characteristic to me.
Yeah.
So I would never advocate using a medium. I mean, you see it on TV all the time on these because they're just trying to add more stuff to get people to watch, but I would never advocate using a psychic on a paranormal investigation simply because it's just
there's no way to prove it.
I can walk into the room,
can fool you.
I can walk into this room right now and go, oh my gosh, Harold, I can feel the presence of 4 or 5 ghosts, and being an act, both of us being stage actors, which we both have a.
You can make them believe what you want them to believe.
I could probably make people believe that I'm feeling something, So,
except me, I'm Mr. Skeptic on everything. I go like, yeah, whatever.
Well, that's good. And
I'm pretty skeptical,
and that brings up
about stuff.
A very, very good point about skepticism. I think that skepticism is healthy. I think that any kind of investigation, whether it's paranormal or if you're investigating the causes of let's say a virus, and looking for an antidote for that virus or whatever, I think that you've got to go at it with at least a modicum of skepticism, because you can't just say, hey, this is going to work. Take it.
Yeah.
No, I don't know if this is going to work. I'm going to study it and watch it and look at it. And it's the same way with the paranormal. You've got to go in with a bit of skepticism, because in my experience investigating, and I ended up being the one of the residential team leaders.
Okay.
In other words, whenever people would call in saying, hey, we got this going on, I would contact them. I would do the initial interview. Alan and I usually would go.
And you say residential, we're talking about houses.
Just
people's homes.
People's homes.
And not like a building or somewhere. It's actual home.
Yeah. Somebody else, I think at the time Tanya was handling all of the business
type
stuff,
places.
Stuff.
Okay.
But anyway, and Alan and I would usually go and we'd do an initial little interview with them, and we'd have them fill out paperwork, and when we had a questionnaire that kind of helped us weed out people who were just doing it for kicks or for party or just for attention or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, Alan would, kind of take his EMF meter. Now, you remember what I told you EMF meter was, right? Electromagnetic frequency.
Frequency, yeah.
Right. You see it on used to see it on Ghost Hunters.
Ghost Hunters and all that stuff, yeah.
Yeah, look, man, they're talking to us. Look at the needle and blah, blah, blah. But anyway.
Is that the voice they use?
That's just the voice I give them,
Okay.
I'm not a good impersonator, exactly. So
I thought maybe that's the voice you used when you were actually doing this.
Well, my wife won't let me watch shows like that, especially Finding Bigfoot. She will not let me watch them.
Why?
Because I scream at the TV.
What are you doing?
Yeah. I get really irritated.
Oh, okay.
So she doesn't allow me to watch those, at least when she's in the room.
Not when she's around. Okay.
She's like, it's just a show.
Calm down.
These guys are idiots. And I should be very careful about that. I loved Ghost Hunters. I loved Jason Hawes and Grant and all those folks. The reason I watched their show is because they didn't go in every little noise. They'd go, oh, it's a ghost. Yeah. They'd really investigate, and a lot of times they would figure out, oh, this is just something normal. This is no big deal.
Yeah.
Or at least in the early times. There towards the end, it started to look to me, and again, it's not a bad reflection on them or anything, but it seemed like the producers got control of the show, and it just became formulaic, and it was pretty much the same show every time, just different location.
Now, let me ask you this: getting back to what we were talking.
I'm sorry,
I know that was great. It's great. Getting back to what we were talking about, your experiences, with DAPS, and. I want to ask you this. Okay, you're talking about going on your first one, carrying all the equipment, all that stuff. Right. I want to ask you the first time. How did you feel the first time something happened? You actually, detected something.
For me,
how'd you feel?
And you may not feel this way. By the way, one day I am taking you on an investigation.
I'll be willing to go with the option that I have an out. I have an exit strategy. I'm going to have an exit.
Well, that's just good common sense there.
Yeah. I do that when I go to the movies. How can I get out of here if I have to?
Yeah. Well, the thing about it is that you go, especially your first time, you're going to go in with lots of anticipation and excitement. Oh my gosh, I can't wait to see what's going to happen, and blah 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 blah. And what ends up happening is that you spend 3 to 4 to 5 hours sitting around and nothing happens. A large majority of most of the investigations that we did, they were boring. And when things even when things did happen, it's very seldom that you go in there and things start popping immediately.
Yeah.
You're there for an hour or two before anything usually even kind of happens.
You mean nothing comes out and slimes you?
No, I never have had anything slime me or anything like that.
Okay.
I've never been physically harmed ever on any of the events. But of course, we try to stay away. We try to stay away from certain things. If we felt like that the paranormal occurrence that was going on was too heavily or too close to what we considered to be a demonic area possession or a demonic possession of any kind or anything like that, we try to steer clear of that stuff because that's not what we're,
That's not what you're about.
That's a job for a priest.
You need to call
a pastor or something like that. That stuff scares me. Now, ghosts and paranormal things don't. I mean, okay, they're a little spooky, but they don't normally scare me. You know what I mean? Because 90% of the time it's harmless.
Yeah.
Or 95% of the time, I'll even say.
Yeah.
There's only a very small percentage of the small percentage that can be considered paranormal that is harmful. And when we get to those, we have to be very careful about it because people can get hurt. And our team is trained to control their emotions. If you get scared, it's fine. Get up, get out of there, but be calm about it.
Be calm about
it. That's what we train people.
Don't freak out and go,
because the people who get harmed by paranormal activity are generally the people who get so scared that they fall or run into something.
Hurt themselves.
Or hurt themselves.
Okay. That makes sense.
Now, a poltergeist infestation can be a little different because a poltergeist activity is generally physical and it can do lots of things such as fires, just starting randomly, things being tossed around the house. So you got to be careful. The poltergeist, it's not. I wouldn't consider it demonic exactly.
So that's a real thing.
But it's
poltergeist.
It's a real.
It's not
thing.
Just a movie.
Oh no, it's a real thing.
Okay.
Now the movie kind of goes.
It's a movie. It's a movie. I mean, come on.
But poltergeist activity and a lot there is a theory that poltergeist activity is actually just psychic activity from an adolescent that's in the house that can't control it. And that's why the first question we ask is, are there any adolescents? And it's generally, not always, but generally it's a young female who's going through puberty or whatever, or is having some traumatic things happening in her life, and therefore her psyche or psychic ability or whatever is kind of out of control. And now that's just again, there's no experts. Nobody really knows what the hell it is. So I mean, there's lots of different things it could be. An elemental. Some people believe that there are spirits. Earth spirits, like the natives used to believe, and these earth spirits are just kind of, they do what they do.
So how excited were you when something actually the first time something actually happened?
Well, it caught me off guard the first time something actually happened.
Oh, it did.
Yeah, It was probably my second or third investigation at that point, because the first couple were just really
boring.
Well, they were fun because I was with these people and these people were amazing.
Hanging out with them. Okay,
but. Yeah, the first time something happened, and I'll tell you what it was, is we were sitting in a lot of us, we put up a grid, I think. Yeah. And a grid is like a laser light, but it's several points, like a big grid of dots, right?
Yeah.
And anything that moves across that grid, like a shadow or anything like that, you'll be able to see it a lot clearer.
Okay.
Right? Well, we had set this grid up, and we were watching the grid and everything, and thinking, man, I can't, man, what if something walks in front of this? And we had a camera on it and everything, and that's the other thing, by the way, paranormal, unless it's like a residual haunting, which is kind of like a videotape. It just happens, it plays, and whatever it is doesn't ever acknowledge you, or even it's just something that happened in the past that was recorded on the atmosphere around or whatever on the house or whatever. But if it's an actual intelligent haunting of some type, it will 99% of the time happen wherever the camera's not pointed.
Yeah. Okay.
So we were looking at the grid and we were looking at the camera, and I just happened to turn my head and look down a hallway. Yeah. And this big, we have somebody that sent us a story, by the way, and this reminds me, except mine, what I saw was big. It was big, and it fluttered from one room and into the hall, and because the hall made like an L turn there, and there was a room across from where the corner of the hallway was, and it came out of the room and went down the other part of the hallway where where you couldn't see it. It was so clear, it was so obvious, and it just really fast, just like that. And when things like that happen, it excites you at first or scares you, depending on who you are. And
excite's not the word I would use. Y'all crazy as hell. I'm gonna tell you that right now, because hell no. I'm going like something like that, and when it's dark and they move that fast. Well, Harold gonna move even faster than that out the door.
Well, that's the thing.
Oh man,
that's the thing. A lot of times we don't even turn out the lights.
So this isn't like light. There's and you can still see it.
When most paranormal activity happens, people are just going about their lives.
Yeah.
They're not sitting in their living room with the lights all off going, hey, I sure hope nothing, shows up.
Oh, like in a movie? So I sure hope bad
turning out the lights is mainly for use of the infrared cameras and using grids.
Well, that's why I thought it was in the dark. You were saying you were
the living room that we were in was dark.
Okay.
I think there was light in that room.
Outside that room. Okay.
Well, and so anyway, when you see that, the first thing your mind does is start trying to rationalize it.
What the hell was that? What was that?
Did I really see that, or was it a car outside? Which is kind of good. Was it a car? Lights shining through the window. And so we started checking all that out, and I think we even went to the as far as to drive a car down the road there to see if we could recreate it because we saw them do that on TV. So and it makes sense.
And was there any sound with that?
No sound whatsoever. Nothing. It just a shadow. And that's that's a pretty common theme. That's what a lot of people see is just moving shadows.
Yeah.
And sometimes it is a car driving down the road, and it's the lights of the headlights are somehow coming in through the window or whatever, and it causes that shadow. That's a lot of it, but that's what people see a lot are shadows moving, and then you start getting into shadow people waking up at night and seeing these dark figures, standing in their room still. Oh. Well, that's not a car driving down the road if it's just standing there.
That's why I sleep with my back to the door.
You sleep with your back to the door?
Yeah.
Oh man, I never put my back to any doors.
No, I'm not going to sit. I'm not going to lay, and I can see the doorway. And what if I open my eyes and all of a sudden there's a figure there? Yeah, I'm going to lose my shit. I'm going to tell you right now, Harold. I'm going to lose it.
What if it's a thief or somebody breaking into your house?
I would have heard him before then. I would have heard noise or something. And no thief can be that silent and just be there. Okay. Yeah. Okay. I've heard noises before. In the middle of the night, I go like, "What was that?"
Yeah.
And I get up and I hear it. And I'm walking around. I'm going, I can't go to sleep now. I can find out what this is. Turn the lights on, it stops. Okay, turn the lights off.
Right.
And I kept walking around until I located the sound. Some kind of little bug had gotten in the house. And I don't know what it's kind of a beetle. Yeah. It's a little black beetle. They make this stuff. They're hard shell.
Right.
But they're harmless. But I don't know how I got in there, but it was
like a June bug?
It was up against a tub, and it was like, it's
scratching.
Just hitting like that, and I had to find it. I couldn't find. I was like, that's all it was, and I was at ease then.
Well, that's a very good point, because a lot of the paranormal experiences that we investigate, we can come up, and that's why I say it's good to be a bit of a skeptic.
Yeah,
because if you go in
come up with
a
rational explanation for it, huh?
We could find a rational explanation for a lot of things. The vents for your heating. Whenever the heat comes on, a lot of times those vents will expand or move or whatever, and they'll make a noise or a bang or something like that, and the average Joe may not realize that.
And a lot of people don't realize houses, especially old houses, they settle.
Yeah,
and they make noises.
Yes, they do.
I mean, you need to understand your house is going to make some noise.
That's right.
You know, on its own.
That's
and
right.
Yeah, that's nothing. I know that. I mean, I don't freak out from that. I go like, that's just a house settling.
Can I tell you in this house that I saw the shadow in, the owner was telling us that some of the children's toys would come on just inexplicably by themselves.
Okay, well that's not good. They just come on by themselves.
Yeah, just come on.
No. That's not normal.
But and you're right, it's not. But I always was a little bit skeptical of anything electronic, because electronics are weird. Sometimes something can go wrong in there, and they make contact, and it is possible for them to come on.
Okay, I've never been around
like a TV. You know,
TV just come on by itself.
Used to, now not now, but we had a TV that used to come on by itself. And come to find out, our neighbor had the same TV with the remote, and every time they hit the remote, if they were in the right position, it would turn yours on. Yeah, that was back quite a few years ago. But, But that's what I'm saying. There can be a logical explanation for some things.
Okay.
And so you've got to be a little bit skeptical, and you really got to do what your job title says. You've got to investigate.
Find out.
And be calm about it, and be. You know, I got in trouble with some people one time when I was investigating with them because something happened. I don't remember exactly what it was, and everybody's that's a ghost. Oh, and it was on our camera.
Yeah,
that's a ghost. That's a ghost.
The first thing they're going to say.
Where was everybody at this time? And they've forgotten to log things. And so and so did walk that way. Was it when we recorded this? Oh, I don't know. We didn't log. You know, and they some of those people wanted it to be a ghost so bad.
Yeah.
And I'm just not that way. Look, if we can't prove that it's not a ghost, how in the hell are we going to prove that it is?
That it is, yeah.
You know, and you've got to be able to prove that it's not something natural. Yeah. That's the important thing about doing paranormal investigation.
Well, it sounds like your job was more of like, let's determine what it is, what it isn't, rather than what it is.
That's right.
Okay, it's not that, it's not that, it's not that, till you get to the point where we've etched out all these things. Okay, we don't know what it is. I mean, but it's not these.
Yeah,
okay?
The problem with that is once you figure out that it's not anything natural, then where do you go?
Yeah,
you're left with the same question. Well, what the hell is it?
Yeah,
you know,
I can't tell you what it is. I can tell you what it's not. You know, not that, and this. You know, but
so that's generally because I classified very few places as actually being haunted. I had to be 100% sure that it wasn't anything natural before I would say that it's, you know, paranormal. And
before we go any further, let me just remind people out there, you know, this particular show, it's not just a paranormal. It's you know, if you have a UFO sighting or something like that, or something weird, just weird things without it being paranormal, we want to hear about all that kind of stuff. And I tell you what, make sure you follow us. You can do that on Facebook. So we'll go to facebook.com/Price Presley Spook Show. Punch that in, follow us. We'll give you updated information there, tell you where you can catch our next podcast and all that stuff. And we'd love to hear your stories too. And you can email those to us at pricepresleyshow@gmail.com. Just want to get that.
Well, I appreciate
do some housekeeping there.
And don't forget, if you like the show and you want to show your pride in the Spook Show, you can also buy
that's right,
apparel.
Apparel. We got that on when you go to the Facebook page, you'll see links to that sort of thing as well. So make sure you go up there.
And I know that sounds like we're money grubbers, but we're really not. People don't have any idea how expensive it is to do a good podcast and to have good equipment and everything. I'm just trying to make back my investment. You know?
But the main thing, we just want to share things we're interested in.
That's right.
And hope you get some joy and fun out of it as well, because we're having fun. Even on this first show.
That's right.
I
tell you what.
You said you were in it for 3 years. Now let me ask you this: why did you stop being part of it? Did you move away?
I ended up moving back to College Station.
Oh, okay, all right.
Yeah. And I gave my cameras and my DVR system to Alan, who was again the tech manager, because that's the one we used, and then the group didn't have another one, and I knew I wasn't going to be doing. I wasn't going to have time to be doing any investigations here. Although I do wish I still had it. I'd like to go to the LaSalle and here in Bryan.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that, because we're going to be doing some stuff with that as well. We're going to have some good stories there, maybe even. We might pop up there. You never know. But we're going to do some things. We're going to talk about the LaSalle. That's been a noted place for some.
That's right.
For some weird, spooky things happening.
We have a guest that's coming up, I think.
In a little bit.
That knows about all downtown.
Going to tell
Bryan,
some good stories
Texas.
about downtown Bryan and that in particular. And we got, of course, we got another. we got all kinds of upcoming stories coming up. We got some emails in. You said, we got at our email.
Yeah, I'm going to tell that story here in just a minute.
Got a couple of friends that have sent us some stuff already, and you got one story. Yeah, you're going to share off of that in just a minute or two here, and some people that that we're going to have on show that you alluded to earlier, that actually doing the investigation, still doing that.
That's right.
That sort of thing. And I know we're going to be talking to your brother about some things that happened to him.
Yeah, he was when he retired as a captain at the Oklahoma State Penitentiary, maximum security, and he's got some stories from the old execution chamber. Where,
goodness,
that'll blow your mind. So
I'm tired, boss.
Yeah, definitely.
I had to do the Green Mile there. I'm sorry,
But this show is about just all things that are unexplainable.
Yeah.
UFOs, ghosts, Bigfoot. Especially.
Yeah.
If you've got a Bigfoot story, let me tell you, I'm ready to hear it.
Terry will be the happiest man on the planet. If you got a Bigfoot story and you want to share it with Terry, he's gonna. I may have to hold him down. Calm down.
Bigfoot or Dogman or any of that stuff. I can't get out in the woods anymore because of my hip issue that I've got right now. That hopefully I'll get fixed one of these days. But I'm afraid I'll get out there and stumble and fall down and snatch me up.
You'll be one of those guys. Help!
Yeah, y'all won't. I had a dream when I was a kid that a Bigfoot carried me off. And
you were from the woods?
Yeah, he carried me off from my house and was running across the woods, and I was over his shoulder, and I was trying to scream for my dad, and I couldn't scream. Now, how scary is that crap?
Wow. Okay. You really were in the Bigfoot if you're dreaming about Bigfoot,
it scared me, man. It scared me bad. And then my dad didn't help things because he would go outside at night because my brother and I slept in the same room.
Yeah.
And he'd go out at night and scratch on the window.
Oh, mess with
and then run back in the house,
What was that?
Yeah, I mean, it didn't help. So I was traumatically affected by Bigfoot when I was a kid. Because we lived out in the woods.
Out in the woods,
way out there.
Okay.
But I will say this, I hunted and fished and all that all my life as a kid, and I've never seen a book. I've had 2 encounters that might be considered Bigfoot related, possibly.
Yeah.
But I never actually ever saw a Bigfoot, so I don't know whether they exist or not. I listening to all the reports and reading all the reports that I have, I tend to lean that way a little bit because all of these can't be hoaxes. They just can't. There's just too many.
There's too many of them. Yeah,
It may not be a giant 8-foot hairy man
but it's something.
But it's something.
It's something that's out there that's living. On its own, out in the woods somewhere.
But anyway.
And before we get to your story, the story you're going to share with us from one of the emails.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to share with us from your experiences with the
the main
your
thing,
investigations?
The main thing that I wanted to point out about my time investigating is that I made great relationships with the people that I investigated with, and it wasn't so much about trying to prove to other people. Although, that's kind of part of the goal, but it wasn't so much for me to prove to other people that there was that paranormal things actually existed.
Yeah.
It was more of a fact of me trying to find out for myself. And I answered those questions.
Yeah.
I know that there are things out there that we can't understand through the experiences that I've had. Now, whether you believe me or anybody out there listening believes me, that's up to you, know, because you got to do your own thing. But we wanted to help the people that we were investigating for to understand a little better and how to cope with it and how to do it. But once we determined whether we thought the place was paranormal or not, that was the end of our job. And that sounds cruel or crass, but we're not. If say we found that your house was haunted, we'd tell you what we thought, we'd give you the evidence and everything, and then we'd go, look, here's some things you can do, okay? But getting rid of a ghost or anything like that's beyond our abilities.
Well, you won't have to do that for me. You just have to help me pack. That's all you're gonna need to do for me, because I'm the hell out of there. Okay. Oh no, I'm gone, baby.
It's like that Eddie Murphy bit where he said, "Get out."
That's it. I'm turning
Too
around.
Bad
and
we can't stay,
Too
baby.
bad we can't stay, baby. Let's go. That'd be a 2-minute movie, man.
Yeah.
Well, let's go next. Get out. Okay. Thank you. Good night. See you tomorrow. I'm out of here. No.
Well, listen, I want to tell you, we were talking about the shadow. You asked me about that, my first experience, and that's what it was.
Yes.
And we happened to have a story that somebody had been to our Facebook page and saw that we were looking for stories.
And they shared one with us.
She shared one.
And if you want to share one, go to pricepresleyshow@gmail.com. Just send it in there, and we'll get it. We won't share your name or anything. Just send us a story.
Actually, we're going to call her Beth.
call her Beth. Okay, all right.
Simply because I'm a Kiss fan.
Beth, I hear you calling.
Yes.
I was just thinking the same thing. Beth,
So,
I
anyway,
hear you calling.
if she listens, she'll know who she is. But I can tell you, I know this person, very honest person, very Christian person.
Yeah.
Not prone to, and in fact, she's not even sure she believes in the paranormal. She's just telling what she saw. Okay, and she apparently worked at various nursing homes. That's in her career. That's what she. I don't know exactly what she does in the nursing homes. Maybe a nurse or just a caregiver or whatever. But she's worked at various nursing homes, nursing facilities. And this is what she wrote. Okay. This is the only unexplained thing that I can think of that I know is a real thing. I don't believe in ghosts and all that, but I still can't explain this. I worked a lot of nights and evening shifts at nursing homes. Many times after the hall lights were turned off, it's like I would see something out of the corner of my eye streak across from one side of the hall to the other. Does that sound familiar? Does that
sounds like something from The Exorcist, man?
Does that sound like what I just told you that I saw?
That's kind of scary.
Right.
What?
It was like a shadow, not big enough to be a person. It was always real enough that I would have to take a second look, even walking down the hall to see what it was. Now, would you walk down the hall and see what it was, Harold?
Hell no. Okay, I'm just saying. You asked me, I'm telling you.
I never did find anything. I talked to a few nurses about it, and they had seen similar things too. They thought it was visitors that had passed away. But like I said, I don't believe in ghosts, so I still can't explain it, and I think about it sometimes. Now, I asked her, I said, okay, if I use this on the show, can I use, I'm sorry, can I tell them, or the question I wanted to ask was, can you describe this thing any at all? Was it moving on two legs, four, hunched over, gliding? Did it look like a small person? What color was it? Of course, I wouldn't be a very good investigator if I didn't ask these questions. Correct?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Well, her response was, it never had a form, almost like a small cloud of smoke, but it would zip across the hall from one room to the other.
Oh, wow.
It was like a gray shadow. This is the only way I know how to explain it. I could see through it. It was always about 2 feet from the floor, and it would happen 2 or 3 times in 5 minutes or so. And it may be months or years before I'd see it again, sometimes. And I said, last question, but would you say that it was a bit like a heat shimmer coming off of a hot road or street in the summertime?
Yeah.
And she said, something like that. To me, it's like a gray shadow that is horizontal instead of vertical and about 2 to 2.5 feet from the floor, and it moved really fast. It was thin enough to see through it, and it disappeared as fast as it appeared. If you have ever seen how ghosts are portrayed on TV, thin and see-through, but like maybe a foot in width and 3 feet in length, it reminded me of a shadow that is moving horizontally. And then she very clearly says, this stuff gives me the creeps. And I said, it does most people.
Yeah. Well, it's giving me the creeps right now. It's just not even my story.
And I know I told her that was my last question, but being who I am, and that's the thing. These things often create more questions than they ever give answers to.
Yeah. Well, that's a good investigator.
And I said, did this same activity occur at just one nursing home you were at, or did it happen at several different locations?
Okay.
Because I just wanted to know if it was just in one particular place.
Place or multiple places.
She said, yes, it happened at numerous different nursing homes, and it was always the same thing. I would see it 2 or 3 times in just a few minutes, and it would be gone. But I might see it again that night, or it may be months or years before I would see it again. There were also other nurses and nurses' aides that saw the same thing. They saw the same thing. So she had witnesses that could corroborate what she saw. So it wasn't just her. It wasn't just her mind playing tricks on her.
But and my question would be, like, if it's at different places she's at, it must have something to do with her.
Well, does it?
I mean, if it's going to all these different places where she's at.
The one question that I should have asked that I didn't, and I kind of want to kick myself for it was had somebody recently passed away when this happened? Because they're nursing homes.
Yeah, they're nursing homes,
and they're like hospitals. They're people leave this world. Yeah. At nursing homes a lot. Yeah. My grandfather did, as a matter of fact. Yeah. So it's what could it be? I mean, is it an angel coming to retrieve someone, or is it something dark and sinister? Is it the soul leaving the body of someone?
It doesn't sound like it's something sinister, though. It sounds like if it was, I think she didn't say that at all in the email that she felt like, oh, I feel bad.
Well, she said she felt creepy, but
that's not bad. Creepy can be anything. I mean, it could be creepy to me, a bug crawling across the,
That's true.
Well, or a rat, which you know how I feel about rodents.
Oh yeah, that's right. Oh, you're not scared of a whole lot, but rodents kind of give you the willies, don't they?
That is my kryptonite. and really, and I'm not kidding. I will tell everybody out there, people that know me that are listening to us right now, they know this already. People really know me. And people that don't know me, if you see me and you want to scare me, I'm not telling you should do this, but throw some kind of little rodent in front of me, and I'll turn around and go the other way quickly. If one came in here right now while we're recording this podcast, I would leave. I'm not kidding. I am not kidding at all.
Just get your stuff and go.
I'm unplug my headphones and I'm out the door. Where you going, Harold? When I finish? I'm out. See you. Well, clean the room out and I'll come back. Okay.
Luckily, we have enough cats running around.
Yeah, you got cats all over the place. There's no way you're gonna have any rodents. I mean, I'm coming to live with you. Okay, if I want, this is a safe place for me.
Well, it's also good because they keep the snakes away too. And snakes are my kryptonite.
You don't like snakes. You do not like snakes.
I hate them.
See, I like snakes because they eat rats.
Yeah, well, that makes a point.
So we got one who can take care of the other. Kinda, almost anyway. Anyway, well, I think that's pretty much going to do it. Almost.
I got some stories that I'll tell next time.
Okay, next time. We got plenty of time, but that's going to do it for this inaugural edition of our Spook Show.
Hey, podcast. Man, we really appreciate you joining us and listening. And look, I know this has been probably not what you were hoping for, but
we just something to kick it off.
We just wanted to kick it off and have something to drop until we get the actual good stuff.
Yeah, next time we're going to have guests and we're going to have more spooky stories, and we're going to have a lot of good stuff.
We're going to drop things. Try to drop things about every 2 weeks. Now, if you want to get them a little early and you want to just get them all whenever they drop it, because we're gonna everything we get we're gonna put in batches on our podcast hosting site, which is Podbean, and I'll put up the
we'll
link.
Put that up on the Facebook page and also
and it costs $20 one time fee of $20, and then you get all of the podcasts as soon as we drop them. You don't have to wait for them to drop one by one.
Okay.
Or you can listen to them free on YouTube.
Okay.
Right. So be sure you follow us on YouTube. Be sure you follow us on Facebook, and we'll put all the links up in the description. And probably during the show, I'll have some pop-up video, pop-up stuff video.
Don't forget to go here and blah blah blah, that kind of thing.
Right. Tell you where you can get your t-shirts
and all that good stuff.
Yeah, I'm gonna make a t-shirt of that picture of you where it looks like you're frightened. I think that's gonna be a good selling t-shirt. And I'm gonna put "Don't get spooked." That's gonna be.
And I'm gonna be the picture.
Don't get spooked.
I am gonna be the poster boy for "Don't get spooked." That's great. Thanks.
Yeah. So anyway, thank you so much for listening and joining us, and we hope that you'll keep tuning into the Spook Show, and we'll get better at this as we go along. This is our very first podcast ever. By the way, Harold, before we go, we need to tell people that you're a very experienced radio announcer and voiceover artist.
I do voice work. I do that kind of thing, and I'll when I have a site, I'm setting up a place to do that. And I'll share that on here as well.
Yeah,
that way you can get in touch with me, maybe I can do some work for you.
So that's the one thing Harold and I had in common, other than theater, that we've done theater.
You did radio way back in the day, and
I did, yeah.
And I've been doing it for many years.
So, but anyway,
and don't forget a couple ways. Again, to stay in touch, Facebook.com/Price Presley Spook Show. Go there, and also on our YouTube channel. Same way, you can find it that way. And email us, pricepresleyshow@gmail.com.
We want to hear your stories. I want to see Harold get spooked out. So give us your stories.
Spook out. And this guy over here, tell him who you are.
I'm Terry Price.
I am Harold Presley.
Come back and see us. Don't get spooked.